Welcome to the webinar, Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, Making an Impact, presented to you by the National Center for Healthy Housing and the National Safe and Healthy Housing Coalition.
Julie Crusoe and Joe Miller will present Stories for Impact.
Now we're going to talk about Stories for Impact, tools to easily include families impacted by lead and to lift up their stories. For our Healthy Housing's website, we have a page called 5 Things You Can Do to Share Your Story. So, using a personal story and experiences about healthy housing influences policy. And one of the best ways to help policymakers develop a personal commitment to healthy housing is to share with them testimony. Testimony of how issues have really affected their constituents. And the National Center for Healthy Housing has some examples up on our website. These are 2 of those examples, 2 of the families that are in our stories. And we have a few others. We're going to be talking about how you can get your families to engage, how you can share the information, and how you can submit that information with us. So we do have a link on that page to share your story. It's a simple form on sharing your family story. We also have one about sharing your practitioner story here. So you have these 2 links on that page. And again, a simple, easy form for you.
Thanks so much. The National Center for Healthy Housing, through our Find It, Fix It, Fund It campaign, and in conjunction with the National Safe and Healthy Housing Coalition, we have a goal of collecting stories about families that have been impacted by lead poisoning, and the practitioners like you that are helping them and helping eradicate lead poisoning. Our goal is to have these stories from all 50 states. And let me tell you why. When I sometimes go on to meetings on Capitol Hill with members of Congress, and I'll bring them fact sheets, and I'll bring them white papers, and I'll bring them all kinds of things. But if I bring them a story of a family from their district, literally they will pick up that piece of paper and leave all of the rest on the table. And Chris Corcoran, when he was presenting from Connecticut earlier on this webinar, he was talking about how members of Congress use those stories on the floor. And this is the kind of things where members of Congress really will go to the floor of Congress and say, you know, we need to increase resources for eradicating lead poisoning. Let me tell you the story of this constituent from my district and how they were impacted, and how this program, and they will mention your program by name, that's happened for many of the programs that have come to our Hill Day, on the floor and saying, this is a program in my district that's helping this family. Or, you know, HUD's Office of Lead Hazard Control is making sure that families in our community, that homes in our community are being made lead safe. So if you look at this slide, you can see we have 2 ways to submit your story. And we have simple Google Forms to help you follow these simple formats. But the outline for the stories, what we have found really effective is to have a 1-pager for members of Congress. The best thing I think you can do is put a picture at the top of the page of the family impacted, and this is for a family story, and then 3-paragraph story. Where the first paragraph is about how lead poisoning or some other kind of home health hazard has impacted your family. And then the second paragraph should be about how assistance that came through some kind of program, some kind of service, some kind of help, such as finding and addressing the lead hazards in the home, help the family. And then the third paragraph should be about where should we go. And it's really helpful for them to say, you know, all families should receive the services I received. And some families, unfortunately, have to say, you know, at the time my kids were lead poisoned, we didn't have those services, but I wish we had, and I wish all other families have that in the future. And those stories, those 3-part stories, are just remarkably successful. Again, photo at the top, 3 simple paragraphs, there you go. If you're a practitioner, your stories are incredibly important too. And your stories would just be slightly different in that the first paragraph would talk about the data and need in your community. That we have, you know, 2,000 children in our community that have elevated blood lead levels, that we have, you know, this percentage of homes of low-income people that may have lead hazards. And then the second, so again, that first paragraph is about the need in your community. The second paragraph would be about the service you provide, and this can tell individual stories. We help this family, we help that family, we help this other family, we've helped this many residents, we've made this many homes lead safe, we've made sure our code enforcement officers are keeping children safe, whatever your successes have been. And then, what we urge you to do is to ask that funding continue for the kind of programs and services you have so that you can continue your great and eventually work our way out of this business and eradicate lead poisoning. And the National Center for Healthy Housing and our National Safe and Healthy Housing Coalition have our new Find It, Fix It, Fund It Lead Elimination Action Drive calling to eradicate lead poisoning in 5 years, a call that has been picked up by many politicians. So we're all working towards the goal, towards working our way out of this business and being done with this problem. But you can call for that is what your third paragraph of your story could call for, is to, make sure everybody acts to help eradicate this problem. And our goal, again, is to have stories from all 50 states up on our website. We already have 3 stories up as a starting point, and you see pictures of the families from a couple of these stories, and urge you and encourage you to send us your stories. Email us, and you can email me, and you can also go to our webpage and find the information about how to submit your story. And even better than emailing me is to go to the web link and the simple form we have to enter those 3 paragraphs. Another question that came up for you, Joe, was what was that van you were talking about in your presentation?
The van is the Letty Eddie van. We've had it for about, well over a decade, probably closer to 15 years. It's with one of our local nonprofits, Sustainable Resources Center. It was funded through a enforcement effort, which is exciting. So we had our disclosure enforcement, and through that settlement, and for some of you, you may have seen Letty Eddie years ago. He came out of New Jersey, and Paul Flynn is the one who started Letty Eddie. And in this van, they they open up the back and there's a puppet show. They also have in the front, they can do blood lead testing and a variety of other things. They do events out in the community. As you can see, the van is wrapped. It has all sorts of lead information on the front, back, anywhere they could put information about lead, about the program, about the resources that are out there all over the van. So it's a fantastic resource. If you want more information about that, I can get that out to you guys. It's a great example of one of the tools, unique tools that's out there to reach community and to be active throughout the community. And in fact, they aren't just in Minneapolis. They do take the Letty Eddie van around the state. Thank you for being here today, for sharing your stories, for doing the good work that you do out in your communities, and for working so hard to eliminate childhood lead poisoning. Thank you very much. Have a great day.